Hello and welcome to Watch Me Edit number 7. Today I'm gonna turn something like this into something like this. Keep in mind that this is going to be a very fast-paced video. If you are looking more towards a tutorial where I explain everything in way much more detail and kinda go slower, I have a lot of landscape tutorials. Just click on the screen right now or check the description down below. So without any further ado, let's get started. So first things first, I'm gonna bring up the shadows all the way, bring down the highlights all the way, just kinda play around with the whites, hold down the Alt key to see wherever it's clipped, bring down the blacks, make sure it's not clipped on too many places, something like that looks pretty well. Then clarity, I really like clarity on this photo, kinda gives it a more of a rusty and harsh feel, which I really like for this. Yeah, that looks pretty well. Then contrast, gonna increase the contrast a bit, I think. Let's see. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna increase the contrast a bit. Then the color temperature, let's see whatever works best here. I'm definitely gonna warm it up a tiny bit, or even a bit more than a tiny bit. Yeah, that looks way better. This is the original, this is the after. I shot this at sunset actually last summer on the Isle of Skye at Portree beach, and it just happened to be a very overcast sunset. Wasn't really any light coming through the clouds, so it was very bluish. So I'm gonna bring up the tint a bit. I think that works pretty well. Then the vibrance, just playing around with the vibrance. Not sure if I'm gonna change anything here. Actually, I will give it a little bit of plus vibrance. Yeah, something like that. Then down to the tone curve, gonna play around with the highlights. I really like what it does to the clouds, this highlight slider down here. See the difference? This is at 0 and this is at 60. Maybe even gonna go to 70. That looks pretty well. Then the lights, let's just see, kinda is too bright almost, so I'm gonna bring that down maybe a bit. Yeah. Then to the darks, don't think I'm gonna do too much to the darks. Maybe even gonna bring them up a bit. Yeah, plus 20, around there. Then to the shadows, don't think I'm gonna do too much to the shadows either. Maybe a bit plus here as well, my plus 10. Then down at the HSL tool, playing around with the hue. First, let's play around with the reds, don't really want to change anything there. I'm gonna go to the greens. I kinda like the more reddish look actually, rather than the very greenish look, so I'm gonna bring down the yellow a bit. Then I'm gonna go on the sea and just kinda see if there's any other colors I wanna change, but not really. So I'm gonna reset that. Then I'm gonna do the same with the saturation. I think I'm definitely gonna add some red saturation just for the lines of paint on this boat here. Then I'm gonna go to the greens as well. Don't think wanna oversaturate those greens too much, so I'm gonna just reset them. Same with the luminance, playing around. Oh, I think I'm definitely gonna go plus luminance on the reds, you see? Yeah, it definitely gives it a bit more of a pop. Then the same on the grass, on the greens, just seeing whatever works best. Well, actually I think I'm gonna leave that at 0 as well. Then down here at the split toning, just kinda see if it could use some color in the lights and the highlights. Maybe a tiny bit of orange, just to kinda make it a bit more warmish. Yeah, not too much, something like that. That's without any color adjustments in the highlights. And that's with a bit of orange in them. Let's see if I want to change anything with the shadows. Let's see. Don't think I'm gonna change anything with the shadows. So I'm gonna reset them, put them down to 0 and go to the next tab, the detail tool. Here I'm gonna zoom in 1:1 and just kinda see if this could use any sharpening. Maybe a tiny bit, really not too much. This already looks very crisp and sharp. Around 40, then gonna zoom back out again, add some masking, make sure everything that I don't want sharpened is black. That looks pretty well. Then color reduction, color noise reduction, gonna add a bit of that. 45 works pretty well for me. Let me just check in the dark places here. Then noise reduction, really don't think we need any noise reduction for this photo. I'm gonna just leave that out. Down here at the lens correction module, I'm gonna go to profile, enable profile correction, choose my lens, in this case the Canon 18-55, and it just gets rid of all of the distortion, all of the vignetting. Then to color over here, remove chromatic aberration. Perfect. Down here at the effects tool, let me see if I want to add any vignetting. This might be actually one of the only landscape photos I don't like vignetting on. Yeah, I think I'm not gonna add any vignetting at all. So down here at the camera calibration, just go through the camera profile, see whatever looks best. That doesn't look too bad, but I still like this one better. Camera landscape, that's too much. Neutral. That kinda looks a bit darkish, a bit more stormy, which I really like at camera neutral. Here's the camera standard. I think I'm gonna choose the Adobe standard over the camera neutral. So down here at the sliders, I'm just gonna play around with all of these sliders. Really not much I can tell you. It's really different with all pictures. So I'm gonna do that quickly off camera and switch back to it once I'm done. Alright, so I'm back after doing all of these sliders. Here's without any slider adjustments, and here's with. Really not that big of a difference in this particular photo. And we're done with all of the global adjustments, so now we're gonna do local adjustments. First thing I'm gonna do is go to the adjustment brush, bring down the exposure slightly, about 0.4 stops, make sure the feather is to 100, and just kinda make this down here a bit darker, just so the attention gets more towards the center, towards the boat and towards the clouds. The same thing I'm gonna do up here. This top part of the clouds really kinda looked a bit too overexposed, so this looks way better. Then I'm gonna add another adjustment brush. This time I'm gonna set the exposure at 0 and actually go minus saturation, really not something I do too much. Then I'm gonna add another adjustment brush, make sure the exposure here is at 0, and actually bring down the saturation. Just kind of paint over some places here. I really think this is more of a stormy feeling image, so it doesn't necessarily need saturation in all of the parts. Yeah, like over there. That looks pretty well. Yeah. So that looks pretty well overall. I think I'm gonna add even more vibrance to the total image, just so the colors on the boat get a bit more pronounced. Then I'm gonna play around with the contrast again. Even gonna add some more contrast than before. And I think that looks pretty well. Then I'm gonna add a gradient filter. Drag it over the sky, make sure everything is to 0, and then kind of increase the contrast and the clarity a bit, just so the clouds kind of look a bit more stormy and a bit more pronounced. Then I'm gonna do some dodge and burning. For that I'm gonna choose a radial filter, reset everything, make sure the feather is on 100 and you invert the mask. Then first thing I'm gonna add some exposure, add some clarity and just kind of drag some circles over here. Just kind of see wherever they could use some. Let's see over here. Alright, so I even think I'm gonna add a bit more color towards the highlights, just so it has a bit more of a diversity. Yeah, that looks pretty well. So the last thing on all of my photos would be I would go into the spot removal tool, zoom in 1:1 and go over the whole picture and make sure that there aren't any dust or dirt spots. But for this video I'm not gonna do that. So let's see where we started. This is the before without any adjustments, really kinda dark, not very much contrast, not so interesting. And here's the after. Definitely looks totally different, way more of a pop, way more dramatic, way more contrasty. So this was it for Watch Me Edit number 7. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section down below. And please subscribe if you would like to see more videos just like this in the future. Other Lightroom tutorials, landscape editing videos, all kind of photography related stuff. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really hope you could take some tips or some inspiration off of it. Keep on taking landscape photos. I wish you a wonderful week. See you in the next episode. Take care.